Welcome everybody, as we are joining on to this month's virtual conference. I'm just going to wait 2 minutes to allow everybody to kind of get in, get comfortable, and get ready for what looks like it will be a super interesting and exciting virtual conference. I will be hosting you this time round. I haven't done it for a while. I have missed being able to come and join with you awesome group. It's quite fitting for me to come back and do the MFL and international exchanges theme, as a lot of the inspiration behind True Education Partnerships and the Global School Alliance really stemmed from a personal experience that I actually had of an international exchange, and my love affair with learning Mandarin, my love affair with China and international partnerships, and all the great work we do within sister schools and virtual partnerships really stemmed from a 3-week school exchange that I had at the age of 15, whereas myself and 20 other young boys from a grammar school just outside of Liverpool went over to China for 3 weeks for an immersive educational experience, which quite simply transformed my life at that point in time. And it really kind of laid out in front of me a direction, at least, maybe not a detailed plan of attack when it came to my educational journey. But, from the age of 15 as a young boy, having a sense of direction and very close to a sense of purpose was a huge gift and a huge superpower for me at that age. And so a lot of my personal experience when it came to moving to China at 18, being one of the first Brits to do Chinese A-level, and all of the awesome things that kind of ensued after that when it came to regional partnerships, sister cities, and the rest, really stemmed from that international exchange. So I'm super keen to be able to share some of that with you guys today, and I'm super stoked to provide the platform for our awesome speakers today to share some of their personal experiences of the value of modern foreign languages and international exchanges. So 2 more minutes, and then we are going to jump into the main presentation. Again, all of you that are joining us live, I would love to hear from you in the Zoom chat. Those of you who are joining us via Facebook or LinkedIn, please do leave some comments in the group chats. Please do use the hashtag. We have our lovely Henrietta and Hannah who will be looking after you all. Henrietta, is that a Christmas tree in the background? Oh dear, we have Christmas trees in November. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but well done anyway. So you'll be in safe hands of Henrietta and Hannah for this evening. So please do feel free to leave any comments, fire away with any questions. We will go. I'm going to do a bit of an introduction. Then we're going to have 3-4 amazing speakers. Then we're going to have some Q&A in probably just over an hour and 20 minutes time. So let's see who we got. Love seeing the hellos from Turkey, Morocco, Tunisia. We have some Malaysia, Bangladesh, West Midlands. There we are. Who else have we got? We have people coming from India, UAE, Moldova, Turkey. Love it. So this is one of the things I love about doing these events, and especially with being able to talk a little bit, being able to kind of bring everybody together, is being able to actually have a conversation with awesome human beings from literally all over the planet at one point in time. It's super special. Okay, so let's jump into this thing. So again, for those of you who are already signed up to the Global School Alliance, you will already be getting all the great benefit of the online platform with your accounts and being able to connect with other educators, being able to set up, virtual partnerships, engage with some virtual projects, which I'm going to show you some examples of in a minute. Super easy way to do it. You'll get basically invited to all the events that we are running on your behalf, which are obviously always free to attend. Get the opportunity to hear from amazing frontline educators, but also being able to get to see what's exciting in education, be kept up to speed with some of the innovations that we're seeing in resources and technique and, in different approaches all around the world. So there are two main ways which you can sign up: as an ambassador for you as an individual, and or as a school membership. So both of them come with essentially plugging in to, if I do say so myself, one of the most exciting, international education sources that is available online at the minute. Also, I would love for some more schools to get involved with our Global School Alliance Student Council. This is very specifically aimed at the student populations. It is led by our lovely chair, who is based in Thailand. She, Malaya, looks after a lot of our student council events, which happen every 6 weeks or every term. The links to a lot of these will be shared with you either on email or in the chat. Please keep an eye open for that. An example of some of these awesome joint projects that have been kicked off recently on the platform are the culture postcards. Now, these are intended for a smooth, easy step into wider online collaborations. So some awesome examples that are up here, again, from Morocco. Where I'm sitting in Liverpool, England, it is 4:10. It is starting to go dark. It is pretty cold. It's not rained, so it's been a good day, but it is pretty chilly. To be seeing these beautiful photos of an awesome part of the world is enough to make anybody jealous. But these are great examples of the whole intention behind these postcards is to give a really simple snapshot of what you are proud of, what you are interested, what you believe represents elements of your local culture. It's a great opportunity to put it out there and to really share it with other educators on the platform. Again, some of these are making me hungry, but also it's a really good snapshot to be able to share with your student communities as well. We have two really exciting online immersion opportunities at the minute also. China Online Immersion really came about, actually. Obviously, COVID has done a number on our ability to travel around the world. We are some of the leaders in immersive educational experiences, and we've implemented that for many years offline, basically taking hundreds if not thousands of kids to and from China. We then took that online probably about 18 months ago and built this China Online Immersion course, which is 5 days. You get to basically interact with some amazing hosts over there. You get to virtually travel around Chengdu. There are some Mandarin classes involved. For me, the most exciting part is the ability to actually interact with live Chinese students from our partner schools throughout China, get the opportunity to really immerse virtually, as it may be, in another country and culture. And there's some activities that our hosts take you through, with the ability again to actually buy some resource boxes to kind of systematically work through that online program. And rather excitingly, the Spanish online immersion program is literally just gone live last week. So we are based in Sevilla this time around. Again, live language sessions, ability to connect classrooms through language learning and cultural exchange with live Spanish students. And it sounds a bit weird to say real life students, as if there are any other options other than real life students. But again, the ability to connect virtually, face to face, is it's really exciting to be able to make that a reality. So again, if you guys want to learn a bit more, please do shout out. Again, get onto Hannah either in the chat or just send us an email, let us know if you'd like to learn a bit more about those two opportunities. Again, there is an awesome video which I can't get to work, so I will share the link in the chat with you all, which is a couple of minutes showing basically how the last China Online Immersion program went. This is a snapshot, not of a guy yawning, but of him welcoming his English friends virtually into the classroom. So we'll double back around on that clip for you guys later. Again, just a quick shout out to December. We have on the 9th, the Global School Fair, where you'll get to hear from some really exciting edupreneur organizations who, they've got some really good solutions to some of the issues you guys will be having in the classroom. And then we are wrapping up the year with the next and final event for the GSA virtual conference on the 16th of December. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. We will be reviewing a lot of the highlights from the year. We'll be laying out what the plan of attack is for 2022. There's been this is a 2-hour snapshot of all the cool stuff that's going on in the background, but there is a hell of a lot more that is under development, not just from us, not just from the Ambassador Pro community, but also through some of our partners internationally, which we are going to lay out in detail on the 16th for a really quite exciting 2022. So we are going to, before we jump into the presentations, we're going to go out with a quick poll, which is, in your opinion, what is the main, or what are the main barriers to teaching languages? Do we think it is a lack of CPD, continuous professional development / training? Do we think it is actually pupil perception that holds us back? Do we think actually it's having earlier GCSE choices, or even just the fact that they're needing to be pushed on students at a particular time? Or do we think it's curriculum planning and wider support from the powers that be? So it would be really cool. I'll give you all just a minute. Great to hear your opinion on whether it be one of those four. I am going to put my one in and submit. So just a 30 seconds more. Okay, so it's quite an interesting split, really. So we have, as a result of our poll, 23% think that it is a lack of CPD, 18% pupil perception, 8% early subject choices, and 53, overwhelming majority, think curriculum planning. So there's quite a clear indication there, again, globally. This is the main advantage of being part of the Global School Alliance, is that we get to see different perspectives from around the world. So this might not be the same to you in Morocco or Tunisia or Turkey, but at an international level, curriculum planning seems to be the biggest barrier to teaching languages. Awesome. Okay, so hopefully let's see if we can talk to some of those points as we move on. So at this point in time, we are going to have a look at that smiles. I love seeing some smiles. So we're going to grab a screenshot of everybody. Come on, if you could turn your cameras on. 2 reasons why we're doing this. The first big reason is we are going to be sending, obviously, all of you awesome people certificates for your participation. But the other one is, I just want to see all your beautiful faces. There is amazing. Look at that. It's so, do you know what? It only takes a quick, would you turn all your cameras on, for everybody to come out of the shadows out of the dark. Listen, I do appreciate we are spanning multiple time zones right now. So if anybody's in their PJs in bed, I'll let you off. But for everybody else who is, look at that, lovely smiles all around. Really, really, really good to have you all with us. Magic. Okay, so we are going to jump in. So that's me done. We're going to welcome Joe Dale to deliver his presentation. Then we have Aliyah, and then we have Susie, and we're going to finish up with Marius to close us out. As I say, about in just over an hour's time, we're going to look at having a Q&A. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And Joe, if you want to jump in and share yours.
Fantastic, thank you. That's great. Let's clear share. Fantastic, and let me move that
and over to
screen.
You,
lovely, and we're good to go. Fantastic. So, welcome everybody to the presentation I'm going to give. My name is Joe Dale. I'm a former languages teacher. I taught French for 13 years, 3 years at secondary school level, and then 10 years at middle school level, where I taught 9 to 13-year-olds. So I've got upper primary and secondary school experience. For the last 11 years or so, I've been an independent languages consultant, and I normally travel around the world running training on the use of technology and how it can enhance language learning as well as across the curriculum. But because of the pandemic, I've had to do everything via webinar, although I'm doing a few face-to-face things now as well. My Twitter handle is on the screen, as you can see. It's at Joe Dell. I've now got over 32,000 followers on Twitter, so if you're not following me and you'd like to, feel free to do so. I've been on Twitter for over 14 years. My email is there as well, jodell@talk21.com. I'm going to speak for about 20 minutes, and I'm going to share the whole presentation with you as a short URL as well. If you want to write comments in the chat, that would be fantastic. If you want to ask a question, it's helpful for me if you put a Q in front of the question, and I'll try my best to deal with them while I'm speaking on my second screen. So obviously, thank you to the organisers for giving me this opportunity, and I'm sure we're going to see some fantastic presentations today. Okay, so that's a little bit about me and the different people I've been working with. But as I said, I'll be showing the presentation so you can have a look at that in more detail later. Let's just get on with the meat of what we're talking about. Okay, so when we talk about the value of MFL, one thing that comes to mind is motivation. So I asked the MFL Twitterati, which is a community of language teachers, language consultants like myself, and language associations. There's 5,000 members, because that's the maximum number of people you can have on a Twitter list. And the hashtag is used by teachers from literally all over the world. So if you haven't seen that hashtag before, do check it out. Spend 10 minutes while you're having a cup of coffee searching the MFL Twitterati hashtag, and you'll find lots of interesting content. So back in the first lockdown, I asked the MFL Twitterati about different strategies for maintaining motivation while remote teaching. And as you can see, there are lots of different suggestions here. Some soft skills like be as positive and encouraging as possible. Students, when they deserve it, let them know you care. As well as lots of different tech tools, some of which I'll be talking about in today's session. But I think if we're talking about the value of MFL, it's got to be that the first point of call is it has to be that the students need to feel safe and loved in the classroom, and that will boost your subject as much as possible, I think. And then once you've got that community spirit and that nice positive working environment, amazing things can happen. Okay, one of the first tools that was mentioned in that previous slide is Quicker, which you may have heard of, you may not have heard of. I'm going to do a quick experiment now and actually show you live how this works. So hopefully this will work. Let's just see how we get on. So I'm going to go to the home option, and I'm going to click Create Instant Feedback. This is a really nice free tool for conversation practice. So I'm going to click on Start a Quicker Conversation like this, and I'm going to hit record like this. Okay, so this is demoing the free tool called Quicker Conversation, which was created by a science teacher in the southwest of England, and it's completely free to use. So I've just clicked stop. It's uploaded onto the servers. If you use the UK version of the site, it goes onto UK servers. If you use the EU version of the site, which is eu.quicker.education, then it goes onto EU servers. You can delete the audio. You can listen back to it. You can upload your own audio by the upload button here. And if you want to keep the audio, you right click and click Save Audio As. Okay, you can take a photo as a prompt, you can add text as a description, you can add a web link, but you can also get rid of the bits that you don't want to appear on the student screen. So I just want the microphone to appear. And I'm also going to moderate the conversation, which is particularly useful in a school environment for obvious reasons. So I then click Start Your Quick Conversation. Okay, so this is my audio. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the link here, and I'm going to share this in the chat with you all, like this. Okay, so now I'm going to click here, which is my QR code reader, Chrome extension, and I'm going to scan this on my iPad, on my second device, like this. If you have a mobile device and you'd like to scan this, feel free to do so. And then as a result of doing that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be able to record. Can you see the blue microphone on the screen? So that's all that I need. I then tap on the blue microphone and I'm going to record some audio like this. Okay, so I'm now recording some audio, speaking into my iPad. And so in this way, what I'd love everyone to do, please, or maybe a couple of you, is to click on the link in a moment and to record 10 seconds telling me what you had for breakfast this morning, whenever that may have been. It may have been very recently, an hour or so ago, or it may have been 10, 12 hours ago, who knows, depends where you are in the world. So I'm going to click stop now. It's now uploading onto the platform, and there it is, and I can now press play like this. Okay, so I'm now recording some audio, speaking. There's the audio, and I can now click approve. So I would love someone to record yourself now via the link, which I haven't put in the chat yet, so I'll do that right now. I thought I'd just done that, but that's good. I'll put that in the chat right now. There we are. If you click on that link for me, please, and then we just really need one or two examples just to see how it works. So you click on the link, you then hit the microphone. There we are, and let's have a listen.
This morning I have had an almond croissant and a coffee.
Superb. So that's it, guys. That's all we need because we haven't got lots of time. I'm now going to click lock the conversation. You can see the padlock. So I click lock the conversation and I click lock conversation. So that's really useful for things like role play practice, for maybe in a breakout room for students to summarize what they're talking about. So a great way of motivating students with student voice. Let's have a quick listen to this one. Let's just click V. There we are. Click lock the conversation. You see the padlock? So I click lock the conversation. There we are. And I'll click approve as well. Now, if there was something inappropriate, I could click delete. So that's all good. Right, let me go back to here. So that's quicker. And I thought I'd make a quick video tutorial. Let's carry on. Right, here are some examples of how language teachers are using Quicker. So Karen Longman here, who's working in an iPad one-to-one school, she's using it for listening comprehension, whereby the students can practice their listening skills, their grammar skills, and their thinking skills all in one go. Miss Burke and Claire Wilson are using it for speaking homeworks. Invacad MFL here, which is a school in Scotland, is using it for live feedback using Quicker that way. Turnbull Modern Languages is using it for dictation races and translation races. And then Mr. Vincent Everett, who's the head of department in the east of England, is using it for voice-to-voice dictation. As you can see here, he says they listen and repeat back a bit longer each time until they can do the whole text or summarize it or answer a question. Simple, spontaneous responses, not a presentation, just like in the classroom, which is very, very cool. Okay. The next thing I'm going to show you is a digital praise postcard, okay, which you can also do with Quicker as well as with Vocaroo. So I'm just going to delete the QR code here. There we are. Let me just get rid of that. Right, so here you put the name of the student, and then here I'm going to record my voice using Vocaroo, which if you haven't heard of is a fantastic way of recording speaking. Here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to record some audio using Vocaroo. You can record as long as you want to. The audio is stored on the servers for up to a year. You can then export the recording as a link or as a QR code, and then in this case I can then post the link into the praise postcard as a way of praising a student about a piece of work they've done, so they can hear the teacher's voice for that. Here we go. So I've just done that now. I click save and share. I click QR code like this. I click save QR code like this. Click save. Go to my praise postcard, and then I can literally just drag and drop this onto the screen like this. Like that. Okay, that means anyone who has a QR code reader would be able to scan this, and then from there what I can do, obviously I can delete the background if I want to make it a bit neater. I can click the file option, download, and I can download this as a PDF, or as an image. It so happens I've also got a really cool Chrome extension which is here called Quick Share Screenshot. It's Quick Share Screenshot. I'm going to click Take Partial Screen like that, and I'm going to just drag over all of this like this. It uploads into my Google Drive and it copies the link onto my clipboard. I can now paste this into the chat like this. Paste, there we are. And if I press enter, there we are. You can all click on that link and you'll be able to see the image straight away. So that's a really easy way of sharing images which are on your screen, particularly say in a Zoom call. Okay, so that's praise postcards. Okay, you can also use quicker conversations in the examples that Vincent here is talking about. These are a series of 10 Saturday Tech Talks which happen every 2 weeks at 9 o'clock in the morning, which I'm organising with the British Council in Indonesia, and ITEL, which is a local organisation looking at EdTech. And as you can see here, this is a little video clip, and in that, I'm not going to play it now, but in this, Vincent talks about how he uses Quicker to promote classroom interaction. So I'd really encourage you to have a look at that in your own time. Vincent has also done this Street View Mystery, another way of motivating young people. So what he's done is he went to the town of Vesoul, virtually speaking, because obviously we're looking at virtual exchanges in this presentation. So if I just click now, what he did was he looked at some interesting places.
Here we go.
He looked at some interesting places in Vesoul, and he discovered different places which he thought would be good for a Street View Mystery. He then wrote some clues, and he also asked the MFL Twitterati if they could record some audio using Quicker as if they were playing the role of an old man, an old woman, etc. And so he then put the links into the resource pack, which is available on the previous slide, and you can download it for free. But let me just play this now, and you can get a flavour of what it's all about. Here we go.
So when you arrive in town, you find yourself here, and your first person to talk to is un homme assez vieux qui porte un pantalon gris, une chemise bleue, il a les cheveux gris. And then you have this conversation with him. And there he is. You can click here to bring up the sound, which I've got here. Either that or scan on your phone this QR code will bring up the audio. So if you click here, you'll hear me basically, or someone else, other contributors saying this. The questions underneath are very much there to help you understand. So what is his name? Je suis Henri. There you are. What is behind you? Regardez derrière vous, il y a un pot de fleurs énorme. Okay, so on the one on YouTube, I didn't spoil it for you. I didn't turn around and see the big pot of flowers. But when you do this in class, I know from the previous Street View Mysteries, there's a gasp out loud moment. Sometimes pupils even scream when you turn around and you suddenly see something like an enormous pot of flowers for no apparent reason, just sitting there. Okay, so there are some strange things going on in this town. So here's your first.
There are some strange things going on in this town. So I would really encourage you to have a look at that and consider making your own Street View Mystery based on that model. Google Earth is another tool which I use a lot for virtual adventures. I particularly like the I'm Feeling Lucky option in Google Earth, which is the dice icon on the left-hand side. If you click on that, it will take you literally anywhere in the world, which is really cool. And then you can then drag the little peg man onto the pin and then go into Street View and then ask questions around what can you see? Are you in the town? Or are you in the country? If you see people, can you say, okay, where have they been? What are they thinking? So a little bit like a web quest as a whole class activity. I think that's a really nice idea. Some other ideas around virtual reality tours are these 4 websites: Windows Swap, Drive and Listen, City Walk, City Guesser. Let me just see if I can give you a quick flavour. This is Windows Swap. So if I click on the option in the middle, it will take me literally to anywhere in the world. So now we're in Russia, and I'm looking outside someone's window. So I'm going to be asking the students what they can see in the target language. What's the weather like? What time of day it is? Now we're in Dundee in Scotland. Okay, do the same thing. Now we're going to Malaysia. Now we're going to the USA. You get the idea. Okay, let me just close that. Let's go back to another one. This one's called Drive and Listen. Which isn't working right now. Never mind. Okay, that normally is working. It feels like you're going around town in a taxi, so I don't know why that's not working. Right, this is called City Walks, and I can actually choose where I'm going now. So I'm going to go to Berlin in Germany, and here we are. We're walking through. I can then ask the students where we are. how can they work out where we are, and so on and so forth. So it feels like you're actually going to a different place around the world, and you can ask different questions for the students to answer in the target language. This one is my favorite. This is called City Guesser, and I can now scroll down and I can click See All Maps. My favorite one here is called, if I can find it, Capital Cities. So I know that we're in a capital city somewhere, and I'd like you to tell me. Okay, that's okay. Where do you think we are? Who can tell me? Put your guess in the chat. We're in a capital city somewhere in the world. Anyone at all? I'd love to see a guess. London. Okay, so I click Start Guessing, and I'm going to click here, London. So I click. That's where my guess is. I click Guess. And I'm actually not in the right place at all. I'm 1,584 miles out. I'm actually in Moscow. So that's how that works. It's absolutely brilliant. And you can easily lose hours and hours there. Right, let's crack on. This is a Tilt webinar, which I helped organise. This is Michelle Worgan, who's an ELT writer and former teacher. And she's using ThingLink to make your own interactive adventure. So if you go through and have a look at that, you'll find it really interesting, how to make your own 360 interactive adventure. We also had a recent webinar that I organised, a Tilt webinar with Dr. Florencia Henshaw, in which she talked about lots of tools for virtual exchanges, which is really cool. And then she also mentioned Neurlang, which is an Irish company which creates conversation bots, which is good for different dialogues as well. So I thought I'd mention that one. This is Billy, which is a welcome everybody, a company in the UK which sets up exchanges, and this is a video again which I helped to organise, which has got lots of interesting discussions at the end about the power of exchanges. Twitter Spaces, this is a recent a little bit like Zoom but audio only discussion. So Dr. Liam Printer did one on Sunday around teaching languages with a focus on motivation, not examination. And he had a half an hour long discussion with lots of different people, and it was really cool. And he's also got a fantastic podcast which has had over 50,000 listens, called The Motivated Classroom. So I would check that out as well. If you've liked this and you'd be interested in booking me for a webinar or two on remote, hybrid or face-to-face teaching, here are my contact details and 18 example sessions to check out. And there's the presentation. Wow, that was just about 20 minutes, wasn't it? There's the presentation. So I'll put that in the chat as well, and I'll then hand back to Thomas.
Very well done, sir. That is one of the major skill sets we've been able to actually deliver these things online is time management, which I know for a fact I could do with a little bit more training in myself. Thank you for that, Joe. That was amazing. If anything, that was probably sensory and information overload. I'm sure there are going to be many, many people on the call who will take 1, 2, or 50 useful things from that. I hope at some point we can have you back on to probably chat in a bit more detail. One of the things that we're looking to really make a bit easier next year on the platform is more one-to-one sort of engagements. So again, if anybody has seen any speakers over the past 12 months that they're like a bit more of a face-to-face too, outside of these virtual conferences, we're going to be making that a lot easier online next year. So I'm sure we're going to reach out and have a conversation around that, Joe. So thank you once again. Alia, are you ready to roll?
Yes, I'm here and ready.
Perfection.
I will share my screen.
If you would like to share your presentation, which I can now see. Thank you so much. I will hand over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today and giving me this opportunity. I'm really grateful having doing this for the first time, and thank you so much for Joe. It was really helpful. I'm going to apply all your ideas in my classroom. I'm Alia, and I'm a French teacher. I'm French and Arabic B teacher since 9 years. I started my career here in UAE between Fujairah and Dubai. Actually, I taught in Fujairah for 7 years. Then I went to Dubai. Then I came back. And currently I'm working with an American international school called DR International School in Fujairah. And I started my career by teaching the British curriculum. Like I was following the British curriculum and I was teaching the higher grades. I was doing board exam with IGCSE. Then I went to the middle school. Then currently it has been 3 years since I'm teaching the primary school. So it's a huge challenge for me. So yeah, as I said, like now I'm working with DR, and when I started my career, I started with GEM School. I worked with them for 5 years, and now I'm just like starting somewhere else, a new challenge. This is a brief thing about where I'm working. It's a well-known American international school here in Fujairah. Has been established in 2013. And actually they used to teach French before, then they stopped it and they restarted again this year. So we started, me and another teacher. So my part for today is talking about like the modern foreign language and how it's applicable in the school curriculum and what is going on, what are the challenges, and how it's helping the kids to discover what's going on around them. So for the American curriculum so far, we are having like once a week for all the elementary and middle school. So they have only 45 minutes per week. And I am teaching the elective, which is grade 10, the high school mainly. They are having 3 classes per week, and it's optional, and they don't have board exam, not like the British curriculum. I feel like starting teaching kids from the early age is just giving them a high opportunity to accuse and have more vocab and all those stuff. Like when I'm comparing with the student who started to learn a second language, actually it's not a second language, it's a third language for them after their mother tongue and English, now French. So I can see that the kids who are in grade 1 and 2 are doing very well, and they have more vocab and they can practice the language better, and they are more interested than the people who started late. And even the researchers are just like proving the same. So I'm so happy that actually I started for the first time with the early years in my school here. It's a great opportunity, and I have like really high hopes on the kids that they are going to do better and better by the year. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So and also what I found, like by observing my students, and as their mother tongue is Arabic, that they are not really struggling to learn French, as the grammar and the structure are more or less the same. For example, the masculine and feminine, the masculine and feminine, doesn't really exist in English, but we can compare Arabic and French, so they are not really wondering or feeling it's a big challenge for them to learn, like to digest and understand all those stuff. So it's a benefit that they can speak Arabic, or they can compare between the grammar in Arabic and French. My second point is how learning or how does the modern foreign language, French in my case, or Arabic be for the non-speakers, stimulate the academic performance. Actually, as everyone knows, it's an elective subject. It's not really a core subject. So the students are having more or less a bigger space to do mistake openly and learn in a they don't have a stress that it's a core subject and they need to get certain marks, or they have the pressure from the parents or the school or anyone. We are just like floating easily. We are taking our time. We are learning by songs, games. So for them, it's not a high pressure. And this is really showing how they are gaining confidence. And the much they see themselves that they are learning something new and something that they don't have any background or anything about. Just making them more confident. I can see this in some students. They will just make something really simple in my class, then they will take a picture, like, please share it with our teachers, please show them, please show our parents how we are doing. And of course, learning something new or a new language stimulate the brain to perform better. Like it just like open their minds. And what I found as well, since I started to teach French as a second language here in UAE, that I made my part, even though, like, if the student didn't really learn all the vocabulary or whatever I'm teaching them, using the translation tool from time to time was just helping them to, how to say it, gain new words in English, or just like it was teaching them more or less something, even if they didn't learn the new vocabulary that they need to be learned, like they need to learn. So it was it's a very good tool to stimulate the student and make them learn like new stuff. Then I had like the cultural awareness. Many students I met since I started my career, they didn't know anything about like what is France, what are the francophone countries, where on the world they speak French. Then they will start like, what is going on? Like, can you tell us what's going on? From where this language is coming? So learning the new language wasn't just a thing, just a paper and pen, or learning new vocab. It was learning about a whole new thing. What is going on in this country? Who are the countries who are speaking French? Okay, why we have some Arab country who speaks French? Can you tell us? So it was kind of linking with history. Yeah, those countries had like the French occupation. That's why they are speaking French. There are some parts in Canada that they speak French. In Africa, because of the occupation, they are speaking French. Then they will start to ask me, how you are Egyptian and you learn French? What are this, like, what was the motivation to learn a new language? Then bit by bit, we are going like, we are linking with the geography. Yeah, where are the countries that they are learning French? How the people are doing the stuff in France, for example, or in Europe in general. Talking about like the history, what are the etiquette or the habits of the French population or the people in Europe. And we have like, we planned actually, but because of the COVID, it didn't really work, that we were having some educational trip we were planning to have an educational trip to France, where the students were going to get a week course. And we had a plan to visit all the big monuments, the sightseeing, going for traditional like bakeries to see how they are making the French bakeries, like the French goods and chocolate factories and all those stuff, so they can understand what is going on. This didn't work, but we had something similar to what we saw in the beginning, the postcards and stuff. Yeah, imagine that you are writing a letter for someone who's in France, getting some letters, then they have to answer it, knowing the format, what's going on, all those stuff. And we have with the higher grades, this is something really, like, it's a very nice tool for them to learn about the language and about also like interfering them in the international affairs, because nowadays the generation, they are just like somewhere else, kind of blacked out about what's going on. They are just interested in one bit of the thing, like gaming and stuff, YouTube and things. So we were just trying to make them more aware about what is going on around them. So through the newsletter, to understand what's going on, or making some bit of translation, or you have to read the news, then come and speak to me about what's going on now in France, all those stuff. So like at least when they meet people, like what they studied in school, it won't be just a language and saying statement, like saying just stuff, but at least they understand what's going on around them. So not a shallow thing in terms of just speaking, but also understanding what's going around them. And my students were really appreciating this. I had a lot of examples of people who really got benefits, as it's snowing here in UAE. Most of the citizens and even expats, they spend most of their holidays in Europe. So they were using everything we learned in Switzerland, in France. They know what are the etiquettes to order, what is going on, like what are the habits of the people. All this was through their language classes in a school. So it was such an honor for me. The student engagement during the classes. So as I mentioned before in the beginning, that in my current school, French used to be taught very long ago, and they stopped it, and now they reintroduce it. So I'm having a lot of excitement from the society, student, parents, and the school. They are really promoting very well, and we are getting a lot of resources and fund to promote for the new language again. And as I mentioned, because it's not a core subject, so no one is having stress. I'm not having a stress, students are not having stress, parents are not stressing, because like everyone is really paying attention for the marks and the core subject, math, science, how are you doing in Arabic and all those stuff. So for me, I have the freedom for myself and the student to express and to have our time to explore, to just like be ourselves while we are learning in the class. So I can see the excitement with the kids waiting for me. However, it's once a week, but still they are trying their best. And after the once a week, I'm always getting feedback from them, even if we don't have like the policy of homeworks and stuff. So I cannot really like put a load on them about preparation and stuff at home, but I can see this like a personal or self work from them to show me how well they are doing and how much they are interesting. So I often get videos sent by students showing me, like greeting me in French in the hallways, practicing every word that they are saying. And sometimes even they will look for occasion, like look for detail, like for phrases that they should say in a certain occasion. Not only what we are learning inside the class, they are always taking a step forward to surprise me. So this is just really showing how much they are enthusiastic about the new language and about the new thing that they are learning. They are really appreciating it, and I'm getting the same feedback from the parents. And this is not only inside the classroom, the whole way, like the whole relationship outside and inside the class is really impressive. I always getting hugs, especially dealing with the primary school. It's sometimes it's tough, but in general it's full of love, and I can see really the plant or the fruit of what I'm planting. And it's most of the time reflecting on their behavior toward their learning. So the attitude toward the learning is amazing. I have some challenges, of course, but in general, I don't have behavior issues. So they are always interested, waiting. Sometimes the excitement will be the cause of some noise in the class or during the learning or something, but otherwise everyone is enjoying their learning and they are really doing so well in what they are doing. My last part is I really think, and I'm sure that most of the model foreign language teacher, like teaching French, Spanish, or Mandarin or whatever as a second language, or a third language even, they are facing this problem. I heard this comment a lot of time that if the students are really struggling in other subjects, they shouldn't be having French. In my previous school, some students used to be pulled out of my class because they struggled in English. How they can learn French, which is not correct at all. I understand that maybe in maths, if you don't know the numbers, you'll not be able to do mathematical like equation or whatever. But for me, French, I'm getting the student, or Arabic B, Arabic for non-speaker, I get a blank page and I am the one who's starting to writing on it. I built from the scratch. So this was a painful thing for me. Like I don't accept it, and I believe in the youngest and the student that even if they are struggling in one subject, this doesn't mean that they are going to struggle in my subject as well. And I have a lot of examples, and one of my very successful story was it's a student actually in my previous school in grade 2 that she has no clue about English. She's coming from an Arabic speaker school, and she's in grade 2, so she's missing a lot of learning. And when you see her, how she is dealing and how she is trying to use whatever we are learning inside the classroom, you would be really surprised. It's like a huge example for that the subjects are not built on it. Like I was an example, I was so bad in maths in school, but I was so good in language and history. So the people should start to understand that student can do anything, and they should give them the space of expression and discovering and learning something new. And what I'm also thinking of, that the curriculum, as they were having we were having the poll in the beginning, talking about what are the problems that the modern foreign language teachers are facing. It's the curriculum thing. Yeah, I totally agree with this, because the curriculum structure is not giving really the modern foreign language subject enough space to grow and show what is going on. We need more time to prove it, because it's so hard. We only practice inside the school and inside the classrooms, and it's so hard. The kids, when they go home, for like French, for example, they don't have anyone to practice with, or Arabic B, they don't have anyone who speaks Arabic at home. So we need more time to get better results. That's it from my side. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Amazing, Alia. So thank you so much for sharing your first-hand experience as an MFL teacher in a couple of different age ranges and setups. I have a couple of questions for you actually before we move on to Susie, so don't run away just yet. When you were saying about engaging with the students and actually getting them to speak French and to actually learn about their experiences in France, did you actually put together like a pen pal project? Did you manage to connect with some students in France at all? Was any of those sorts of activities employed?
I was their friend from France.
Okay, yeah, you were the main conduit.
We were having something similar in the high school, especially when we were preparing for the board exam and stuff.
Yeah.
But now, like, since I started to teach the primary, we didn't. But I would love to. Maybe this is going to be my next step. But
Amazing.
I just need more time, because 45 minutes to reach this. It's so hard.
It's, and like going back to your students being taken out of your class to attend more important subjects. One of the greatest, so I speak Mandarin and spend a lot of time over in China and all the rest of it. And one of the most important things for me as being able to speak another language is it wasn't the content of the academic subject, and it wasn't the learning of the vocabulary. It wasn't even the ability to live and operate in China. That was the most important thing for me. what it allowed me to do was discover a whole new part of my personality and of ways of expressing myself that without being able to speak Chinese, I wouldn't gain access to that part of me. And so I think I'm obviously very biased, but one of the big differences from language, and there's a lot encased within MFL, within the learning of language. The cultural elements of it are fundamental to the experience. But I think the personal development part is very neglected as well. People don't realize unless you are a speaker of multiple languages, you'll never know. You'll never know of the vast opportunity for development that lies on the other side. And going back to your point about you being the conduit, the main thing that kept me going, Chinese isn't the easiest thing to learn, but the thing that kept me going was I was passionate because I was curious and interested. And that interest was generated from my teacher, who was a complete crazy person. And her craziness and her just pure and utter Chineseness got me through the years and years of hard study. So the importance of having somebody like yourself in the classroom to serve as that inspiration, I don't think that can be undersold as well. So thank you.
I always had this statement from my head that like students only learn from the teacher that they love. So when you give love, you only get all the benefits. So I'm sure that even however what's the situation, they can feel that I love them and we are getting those vibes. So yeah, I think I'm doing a good job.
Love it. Awesome. So speaking of crazy people, we are going to move on to Susie, who again, really good to see you again, Susie. Super keen and excited to hear your presentation. So if you want to jump over to Susie. Unfortunately, guys, Marius has been called away and won't be sharing with us after Susie. So I've got a couple of things lined up. But I would also love to hear if you've got any questions or any statements or any closing comments that you would like to put to our speakers. Please do launch them into the chat, and we will start to make a list of them ready for once lovely Susie has finished her presentation. So Susie, over to you.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. So yeah, for those of you that don't know me, I have been teaching languages for over 21 years. I am a French specialist, but I also teach a bit of Spanish and German, and recently started to teach a bit of Mandarin Chinese as well. So yeah, I engage in teacher training too, but my bread and butter, really, like many of you, is that I am a languages teacher. And so this afternoon, in the 20 minutes or so that I've got, I'm going to talk to you about the value of MFL. And it leads on really, really well from Alia's presentation. I'm going to be talking to you about culturally rich resources linked to our partner school target language countries. So for many, many years, I would say probably maybe 15 years, I've been engaged in international education. I think as a languages teacher, it's kind of an obvious connection. And currently at my school, which is St John Fisher Catholic High School in Harrogate, I have connections overseas in the Francophone world for all of my classes. So my Year 7 class currently connect with a school in Marseille. I have a Connecting Classrooms project with my Year 8s and a class in Rwanda. My Year 10s have just started a new partnership with a school in La Réunion, where I spent my honeymoon, so it's dear to my heart. And Year 11, I've connected up with a school in Senegal, which has been fascinating. And then more recently, thanks to the Global School Alliance, I have connected up with my Year 12s with a class in Morocco. My partner teacher is actually on the call, so hello to you this evening. You can see from the brackets, I've tried to connect it, interrelate it to the topics that I'm already teaching. So I think for some people, these kind of partnerships, when we are crazy busy and we're already doing 101 things, wearing 101 hats as a teacher, it's sometimes really hard to imagine where we're going to find the extra time. And I think what I'd like to do in this presentation, really, for those of you who don't yet have a partnership, is to just encourage you to take the first step and to try and blend it in with what you're already doing in your lessons, not to see it as something extra. I'm going to gloss over some of these slides, but I think it's really important to me as a French teacher, very much in agreement with Alia, that our resources should awaken a curiosity in our students. We want to generate conversations and we want to make our languages lessons exciting. Often that involves food. Well, certainly it does in my classes. If you look at the resources on the left or right, I'm not sure that everyone is a French teacher, but I think it is about opening hearts and minds to a global world. It's about bringing the world into your classroom every day if possible. And also it's about fighting cliches and prejudices. And I think I've found that particularly when I've been teaching in partnership with schools in Africa, sometimes the children's perception of Africa is completely blown away when we start to connect with our partner schools. I think it's also important to say that we shouldn't shy away from the hard realities of history. So as a French teacher, there is a colonial past linked to France, and I think it's not something that we should necessarily shy away from, but we do need to think carefully about how we present that in an age-appropriate way. So I think in terms of resources, there are lots of published materials out there, but as we all know, schools are very tight on cash. So it's also important to think about where we can find free online resources, what I call renewables, finding resources on social networks, websites, and connecting with fantastic events like this today. So you've got your traditional course books. On the whole, I would say they aren't great in terms of cultural content. They generally focus on mainland France, Spain, Germany, but there is the odd one where you do get some input. So here, for example, there's a link to an article about Burkina Faso, and you've also got some links at the bottom there to Guyane and Dakar. A resource that I've used for many, many years has been these magazines, Mary Glasgow magazines, and they exist in French, German, Spanish, and in English, and they are such great value for money. For anybody who's interested, there's a 15% off code there. It costs on average about £12 a year to subscribe, and you get 5 copies, teacher notes, and just a wealth of information and articles at an age appropriate sort of level that that teenagers want to read about in the target language countries where French and Spanish and German are spoken. I wanted to flag up the German version because I don't know if we've got any Germanists on the call, but I know that German in many schools is dying a bit of a death. So it's important to say that there are still German magazines out there for those of you who are flying the flag for German. And just a little snapshot really of a couple of those articles. So this one is all about Switzerland, so life in Switzerland, and you've got a little snapshot there of the lives of 2 children, Elizabeth and Peter. And then when we're looking at Christmas, which is going to come up in our lessons soon enough, rather than just looking at Germany, why not see if there are any similarities and differences between the way that Christmas is celebrated in Austria, for example. There's also this magazine, which is called Dein Spiegel. I don't really teach very much German anymore, but I've heard really great things about this in terms of the articles, and certainly looking at the front covers there, I think it looks very, teenage friendly. For those of you who teach French, I think there are a few of us on the call. TV 5 Monde Afrique is absolutely amazing. Loads of free films, loads of free series. And the one in the middle, Comment aider son enfant à faire ses devoirs, is a brilliant series set in Africa where it's kind of a dad trying to guide his wayward teenage kids. So something for everyone there. I'm going to share this presentation, so you might not get to grab all of these sites, but I try and subscribe as best I can to newsletters and emails from the wider Francophone world. On Facebook, which I use for sharing sort of personal stuff as well, I do subscribe to many social networks from the Francophone world, and then websites like Africa Vivre and Caribe Info, for example. I also discovered in lockdown, when my wanderlust was at an all-time high, a website called HeyGo, which is just amazing. And I've made friends with a guy called Alioune Diane, who is from Senegal. And I think I've been on all of his tours about 3 or 4 times. So again, if they happen to be playing at a time when you have a lesson, just to do a virtual tour of Paris or somewhere in Germany or Spain, anywhere in the world, they're completely free of charge, and it's just by donation. Talked earlier about decolonizing the curriculum. And again, just a few screenshots here of how you can connect to groups on Facebook, and how, for example, my trainee teacher last year, who was very much in the early stages of his teaching, took the topic of technology and tried to dispel any stereotypes about Rwanda by teaching the children about how important technology is in that part of Africa. In the first lockdown, along with a couple of other colleagues, we also created these Monopoly games. We thought, do you know what, when you're online all day, every day, and you get a bit kind of screen fatigued, wouldn't it be great if the kids could play an actual kind of traditional game like Monopoly, but where the clues and where the codes that they've got to follow around the board are all about finding out about the country of choice. So for this one, you've got the Spanish version, but if you click on the link, I'll just go back one slide there, there are versions in French and Spanish, which you can download for free. If you are a Spanish teacher, look in there, you know, just a wealth of countries where Spanish is spoken that perhaps will be more of interest than mainland Spain to your students. And then the same there on the right with Germany. One of my good friends who I met on an online conference a number of years ago has prepared this amazing presentation, which I've been using with my students in preparation for our Global Schools Partnership, all about Morocco. And if you click on the link, it takes you on a virtual PowerPoint tour of Morocco, where the children click on the hyperlinks within the PowerPoint, and it gets to take them to various cities and find out about the food and the festivals and just an immersive experience, really. You also have got lots of songs online. So this one I use often to introduce the idea that French is spoken officially in over 29 countries in the world. I also started in the lockdown. I think I must have had much more time on my hands, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I just made time. Started to put together some cultural calendars. So the idea is that, again, in French, German and Spanish, you can find out for every day in the year, or more or less every day in the year, something that's going on. So, for example, in June 2020, things that are going on in Guadeloupe, in Belgium, and in France, and also in French Polynesia. So the hyperlinks there take you to ready-made resources and websites. Not forgetting, of course, La Semaine de la Francophonie, which is always in the month of March. So that's a great month, a great time, particularly the 20th of March, which is International Day of French Speakers, to really make a thing of how French is spoken in, you know, thousands, well, not thousands, hundreds of countries, and by thousands and thousands of people. For the Germanists, the 10th of September next year is German Language Day, so that's something to plan ahead for. And for the Spanish speakers on the call, the 23rd of April is Dia de la Lengua Española. So again, a great opportunity to encourage your children to discover the wider Spanish-speaking world. A couple of years ago, I got involved in a project with Leeds Development Education Centre, where I started to write some resources in French around the Sustainable Development Goals. And where possible, I've linked those to the Francophone world. In fact, I taught just a couple of days ago the lesson on quality education, where we look at children's journeys to school. And there's a fantastic example of a girl from Morocco who travels, I think, 25 kilometres every day to get to school, and it takes her over 4 hours. So just to give the children perceptions of a world that isn't their own. They are now available in French and Spanish and German, and that's what the interface looks like, should you be interested in downloading those. I also use a lot of poetry in my lessons. So again, this one has been fantastic because there are lots of poems in French from all around the world. And this one, for example, again, in preparation for our GSA Morocco connection, we've been learning a bit more about couscous et dessert, and some of the things that you might want to know about Morocco. The Global Centre Devon is also well known for their resources, not cheap, but well worth the investment. So they have a ready-made resource pack around geography, French and global citizenship, which is called Take Mali, and in Spanish, a version called Hola Peru. I also started to write my own storybooks, so I was a bit fed up of finding that there wasn't a great deal out there. So I initially wrote these for my own children, the children that I teach, and then other people have picked those up. So I'm on book number 6 at the moment, Guadeloupe. The next ones are going to take me to Martinique, Réunion, Saint-Pierre-Miquelon, Guyane, Rwanda, Senegal, Cameroon. So I might be here a while. But yeah, if anybody would like to hear about those, just give me a shout. I've also been working with a colleague, Danielle Bourdet, on a new project where we are working currently on a project around Haiti. And again, if any of you teach languages or predominantly French, there's a free link to a resource there as well, just to give you a little taster. What I try and do to bring all of this together, just to kind of wrap all of that up, really is I'm really keen on the partnerships. I'm really keen that that's not just like a standalone thing that we do maybe once a term. I want to bring these countries that are so rich in culture into my lessons absolutely every single day if possible. And sometimes it's easier than others. It depends what topic I'm teaching. But the British Council have this passport download, and what I tend to do at the start of each year is I print one of these out and get the children to put it in the back of their exercise books. And each time we visit, albeit virtually, a part of the Francophone world, the children write the name of the country in their passport and we give it a stamp, and we make a big thing of it, because actually by the end of the school year, it is amazing how many stamps they've got in their passport. And it really starts to open their eyes, particularly the ones who aren't that animated by the grammar and the vocabulary and the phonics, the ones who actually are likely to travel. And I sometimes think, you know, the number of children that I inspire to take languages further to A level is tiny, but hopefully I might have planted a little seed of wanting to see the world, wanting to discover other cultures and people, you know, and if I've done that, then I think I've done a good job. I'm just leaving my details on the last slide should anybody want to get in touch. As I said, I'll share the presentation, and when I tweet and when I'm on social media, I tend to use the hashtag cultural capital, so it makes it easier to find all things cultural in one place. So thank you for listening, and if you so wish, please do keep in touch.
Susie, superstar, thanks so much.
No worries.
Again, lots of useful information and links. Again, we will be sending out the presentations to all of you who are joined us live and have actually registered. A couple of points I just wanted to pick up there, Susie, like the passport. Let me just go back onto it. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share my screen. This, as you were just saying before, you know, about animating the students, I would 1000% fall into the going to sleep during the grammar, waking up for the food section. When you were going through, like, how does this work? Give us a practical example of print this off back in the student books and how.
Yes, so say for example in my lesson this week we have been one of our goals with the Rwanda connection is to look at life in schools, so what quality education looks like in Rwanda and in the UK. So we've done various lessons around school as we would in a normal school year, and then we've also sent questions and letters to each other so that we can find out a bit more about the other context. Yeah. And then I shared with them some of those sustainable development resources that we wrote for the Leeds development lesson. So it was all around, it's a brilliant video clip on YouTube called Les Écoles du, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the clip now. It's all about children's journeys to school. Oh. And basically you have 4 predominant characters. It's all in French. So it's very simple language because it's a trailer. And basically what the children do is they watch that trailer and they come across these 4 children. And one of them happens to be from Morocco. So if we've engaged in that and we found out a bit about a child in Morocco and what her life is like, then basically the children would then at the end of the lesson write down Le Maroc in the back of their passport, and then I would go around and stamp each of their passports the next time I collect their books in.
Amazing. So here's another question for you. You just touched on the conversation you start around quality education. One of the driving forces behind everything we do is really linked to our mission of raising standards of quality education globally. And I've had a number of conversations about that in the preceding couple of months. And the really cool thing with that as a mission, it actually allows us to start the conversation around, okay, to raise standards, what do we agree are the standards of quality education? Okay, well, who determines what is quality education and what's not? And obviously the global bit's self-explanatory. But in that conversation, how do you explore that idea of quality education? Is that a discussion? Is that an exploratory?
Do you know what I think often it's as much about the similarities as it is about the differences, and I think we have to be really careful around that, particularly when we are working with countries that are quite different from our own. And I think the kids are really sensitive to that. So when I played that video, you know, they just wanted to watch it over and over again, like they're literally fascinated. And I think their openness to it and the fact that they know that their world view and their reality is not the reality of necessarily their partner's school, and that's fine, and it doesn't make us better, it doesn't make them worse, that's just the way it is. And I think the more we can present that view to them as educators, the better, because when you you do travel, you are going to see things that are going to be surprising to you, that are going to shock you, that are completely abnormal to you. But I think that's just the most fascinating thing about discovering other cultures, because wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same?
For sure, for sure. I think you're burning your toast there, Susie.
I think it's my son's dinner. I think needs to be turned on.
Needs some attention.
I had a quick question.
Go, Henrietta.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll be.
Okay. I mean, I think it's for Aaliyah as well. You both talked about how you engage with students. Okay, for me, with French and Spanish, I loved Spanish and I liked French, but I never wanted to go unless we had prepared maybe to do like bringing croissants and stuff like that in. I never wanted to go. Like, and we never spoke about Francophone like countries. So like recently, I'm 24 and my sister like, 2-3 months ago was talking about Francophone. I was like, I've heard this Francophone, but what is it about? She's like, yeah, it's French speaking countries. And I never knew about it. And I'm 24 and I've done French from primary school to high school and I never heard about it. Wow. So I never get to know about how people in France act, their culture in France. It's only when I did my degree where we started speaking about how to talk to people, like how their punctuality is and everything. And I feel like that's very, very important, because if I got to know more about the cultures and like Francophone and stuff, I would have probably been more interested and got to know that, if I meet someone that's from this country, they can speak French. So I would even start practicing and saying bonjour to people. But yeah. I never literally, I was like, I don't know any French people, I don't know any Spanish people. So it's not compulsory for me to learn these languages. That's literally what I thought, because there's only 2 countries that speak this language.
Isn't that
knowing that so many different countries speak it?
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if the kids that I teach get bored of me rattling on about the wider Francophone world, because it literally features in every lesson, because I think I owe it to the kids. I think I'm just as much a teacher of culture as I am of language. And after 21 years in the classroom, I am very aware that there are lots of kids who aren't going to be as excited about French as I am, and that's fine. Although I try my best to enthuse them and excite them, but I think I've yet to meet a kid who isn't switched on by the cultural element. Like it just doesn't happen. We are all, as humans, fascinated by other humans. That's the reality of the human race, isn't it? We want to connect. We're made to connect. And I think the partnerships that the GSA are engaging in, they help to break down barriers. And it's just I feel so grateful to have connected with my partner in Morocco, because I feel like it's going to benefit me as a teacher. It's making me excited about my lessons, and I think the kids are super excited about the connection, and we're hoping to video conference next week, so it's all happening.
Well, it's the thing that disheartened me just a tad with the slide about the passport is obviously post-Brexit in the UK, some of those support mechanisms are no longer with us. So am I right in saying that e-twinning is now a no-go?
It is a no-no. We have an existing partnership with Connecting Classrooms and Global Learning, which is a British Council arm. My understanding is that terminates in December. It may well be replaced with something else, but I don't think there's a guarantee of that. So it's getting harder and harder through other channels to connect. So it's just refreshing that we know that we've got a safe platform in the Global School Alliance.
Yeah, that, and again, it's our sort of direction with all of this is that there isn't currently enough support or resource in the space. So it's not like the British Council are physically able to lock everything in and provide everything to everybody. It's not like TES Global can do everything for everybody. There's so much left to be done that having the opportunity for us to provide a potential other avenue for these relationships and partnerships is exciting for me. One thing that I'm going to ask a massive favor for everybody who does end up going on the platform, who does end up setting up a virtual partnership, is tell us what you're interested in. Like, tell me what I can go and spend time, energy, and money making so you guys can have a better experience. I said this in my ramble at the beginning, but all of the activities and all the tools and all the opportunities we build really come from my trip to China at the age of 15. That whole experience of, as you're saying, Susie, that interpersonal connectivity, like culture was great, the art was great, all that was fantastic, but it was the people that I met during those 3 weeks that really illuminated my imagination. And what we are trying to achieve, and everybody on this call, whether you're an ambassador or the Ambassador Pro, we want to hear from everybody around what would be interesting, what would be useful, what kind of projects do you want to see, what other functionality in these virtual partnership groups would be useful. The video conferencing is awesome, sharing videos is fantastic. We are actually developing a kind of conference space as well. So rather than just being a one-to-one classroom, one classroom with kids to another classroom, again, Feti's done and Tatiana have done an amazing example of that recently, if you guys haven't spotted it. But we're looking to open that up to having multiple classrooms at a time and actually having like a conference space where we can have, a platform with speakers and presentations and multiple classrooms all coming in. Again, it's not super easy to do online, but understanding what you guys are finding or what requirements you have actually in the classroom is super useful for us to know. Another element of that, so again, you can see in the background, guys, I'm sure most of you have been here before. If not, go to the globalschoolalliance.com, have a quick check-in of what's going on. When you sign in, you're signing into the platform, so you get the opportunity to set an account up and actually connect with other people on there. I would, again, something to look out for. I'm going to go into more detail in December, but to look out for at the minute with the award-winning global schools, going in and taking the test and finding out where you sit on this is very tangible at the minute. But what we're going to be coming out with next year is the ability to walk you guys through getting all of these awards as you go through the process. So getting into communities and getting your international coordination sorted, building your online platforms, your online partnerships and collaborations, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, looking at more international exchanges and travel. This is a very selfish and personal point of view. I can't wait to come and visit as many of you as physically possible. I can't wait to come and actually get on a plane again and go and explore the world through education and through these schools networks. So please do have another look at checking out where you stand on here. For those of you who are based in the UK, and again, True Education Partnerships and the Global School Alliance sit side by side in delivering a lot of these opportunities and programs. Now, if you are based in the UK and of course have had access to Erasmus funding and EU funding taken away, then the Turing scheme is been piloted this year. We've had some fantastic news from British government and through the operation partners in British Council that they are able to offer the program for another further 3 years. Again, most of what the Turing is focused on is partnerships, school immersions, building those actual relationships to a deeper level. We are very fortunate that we've been setting up partnerships and exchanges since 2011, and it's something that is second nature to us now. So if anybody is based in the UK and looking to take advantage of the funding, which essentially, outside of getting visas, it funds the vast majority of a trip for a group of students and teachers going out to other countries. On the flip side to that, if you are based in European countries and you are able to engage with the British Council and Erasmus, give us a heads up if you're thinking about coming this way as well. We are more than happy to really provide whatever support you guys need in and out of school to make these relationships and partnerships work for you as best as possible. So I'm going to have a quick look. Hannah or Henrietta, do we have any questions lined up for our awesome speakers? Or have I kind of covered them through my questioning? I'm going to take the radio silence as all the questions have been covered.
Yeah, basically, a lot of them are just really excited about today. Like me, amazing. I'm excited.
Amazing. And again, thank you so much to our speakers for not only sharing their first-hand experience, but the onslaught of useful resources. And absolutely, yeah, we will be sharing all the slides and the links to these resources to everybody moving forward. So what I've managed to find it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this out with watching a clip from the online immersion course. I'm not too sure.
Hi, my name's Kieran. My name is Ellie. My name is what is your favourite food? My favourite food is Welcome to our school. Welcome to our school. And happy Chinese New Year. And happy Chinese New Year.
Right, guys. So again, thank you so much. What I would love now, Fethi is still on the call. What I'm going to hopefully look to do moving forward is all of the kind of footage you saw of the students there, that was taken in the kind of online classroom immersion, which is available to be used within and utilized within your virtual partnerships. I know that Fethi and Tatiana have done an amazing job recently. So if that's okay with you guys, I'd love to invite you on next time round to maybe give us a little run through and to share your experiences and how things have gone. Does that work for you? I'm going to take the nod as a yes.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So we'll try to share what we went through.
Do you know what, Fethi, if you've got a minute now, that would be absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we used our previous expertise, and then the platform helped us a lot. So the platform offers the opportunity to share all types of files like documents, videos, and photos, and so on. And then we started by our plan, then we move it to online meeting, we prepared the question and so on, and then the result is great. It's really amazing. But planning is great, and having a framework like the Global School Alliance also is really supportive and helpful. So thank you.
Amazing. Good. Okay, guys, I hope you have enjoyed our session today. You will be getting the recording in a couple of days' time once it's been processed. So again, thank you so much. Great seeing you all. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers, everybody. See you again.